one is the Ting. It's what, the 16th episode?
15th. 14
Fucking
was
fifth.
last week.
If
And
final, we have almost as many episodes as we have Final Fantasies.
yeah, and it took just as long.
Yeah. Wow, Final Fantasy came out that fast? 3 months and all 15 of
3
them?
months, all 15.
Wow. God
The
damn.
development cycle's insane on those things, dude.
It's fucking wild. Holy crap. Wow, and I heard they had a troubled development cycle.
Fake news. Kingdom Hearts 3 came out as intended to.
Kingdom Hearts 3 came out a week after Kingdom Hearts 2, and there was no wait.
Everyone was super surprised.
It was really crazy. They had a dual development cycle and everything.
I already beat Kingdom Hearts 4. It's crazy. Okay. Hello.
Man, if only fuck. Hey, hello, internet.
No one's here yet. That's fine.
All right. Well, we're recording anyway.
Shit. Yeah, we in here. They'll watch it on YouTube.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Nintendo Direct was crazy.
Holy fuck! I mean, what
That's
else
like
to say?
The only thing this week that matters, really.
God damn! It was just fucking ridiculous.
Astral Chain.
Astral Chain looks fucking sick.
Fucking so hype.
I want to go through all this news, but first we should just like power through our weeks.
Let's do the weeks.
What does we do? What does you do, Ben?
Me get fired. And that's about all we'll say on that for now.
Jesus Christ.
Things are happening, but I am now unemployed. This is my job now.
Yeah, so we better find a way to monetize this.
Yeah,
shit.
we gotta get in there quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So shit happened.
Yeah, that happened.
Fucking occurred.
It'll whatever.
But the situation is weirdly kind of almost on your side.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's a strange scenario to be in.
We'll see. But I finally pushed ahead a bit in Bravely Default again.
Yes,
now that
I want to hear all about
Hearts
your
3.
experiences with Sage Juliana.
Dude, I'm so confused by that interaction because he basically comes out and was like, "That's right, I was your enemy the whole time. Now I will die and watch over you and be your friend." Like, he was like, "I'm a bad guy," but not really.
Well, I guess I can explain it like this. So Juliana is one of the leaders of Eternia.
Mm-hmm.
But firstly, he's not Idia's dad, which is good. But he's not really motivated to lead Eternia so much as he is a part of their council.
Mm-hmm.
And all the people who sit on the Eternia's council are ostensibly your enemy.
Yeah. So he's just like, I was there, but I'm a double agent, I guess.
Well, it's like he's not necessarily on the side of Eternia.
Okay, but he's just part of the council.
Exactly, so he kind of has to do his part.
Okay.
But he's not necessarily evil. His motivations are basically purely out of loyalty.
Okay. See, now things are starting to make more sense a bit because I guess I took too long of a break and forgot some shit maybe. Because I was confused by that. I was confused by Vampire Man. I forget his name.
DeRosso.
Yeah, being like,
Lord DeRosso.
They need to awaken the crystals, but also helping Brave.
Brave. Yeah, Brave.
And
Bravely.
I'm confused. Yeah, Bravely. I know, and that too, I was like, well, his name's right in the title.
Bravely.
That fight is super fun.
The Brave fight? Yes.
I love that.
I love that
fight. He takes a knee like 2 times before it's actually over because you're like, yeah, fuck.
But the dude is honestly so fucking powerful. He can fight you on one knee.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucked. That's what the Templar asterisk is like. It's basically a.
I threw that on Ring a Bell immediately.
Oh, you made Ring a Bell a Templar. Interesting. Yeah. I made Adia a Templar.
I guess that makes sense.
Because she's like my heaviest hitting character apart from Tiz.
Yeah. Well,
so I made her a Templar.
Ring a Bell is my tank. He's got like right now I think he's at like 380 defense.
Holy shit, okay.
Yeah. It's he's up there. So right now he's Templar and Knight to keep up that those attacks that do defense damage instead.
Yes.
Because that's nice. But yeah, right now I am on my way to awaken the Earth Crystal.
And you're gonna... That's all the way in Eternia, so you're there, I guess, because you fought Brave. How is fighting your way through the Eternian Fortress?
Some
of those bosses are... I find those bosses, some of them are very difficult.
I didn't find it too bad. When I got stuck at the ice gnome out front of the gates of Eternia, I straight up like leveled up 5 times, and then like 3 turns, and then he was dead, and I was like, cool. So like I think I leveled myself up enough that it wasn't too rough. Victoria, and what's his name? Victor?
Victoria and Victor, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
weird. Those motherfuckers.
They're really rough, but they're dead now.
Okay, well there we go.
I think
those fuckers are genuinely very difficult to fight.
Yeah, they're really hard because I mean, like if you take care of Victoria first, which is what I did on the last time I fought them, it's really not that bad because Victor just kind of is like, I'll boost my elemental attacks and heal myself, I guess. Mm-hmm. So if you just bash at him after Victoria's gone, it's not that bad. But Victoria's corpse ability is fucking annoying.
Yeah. He's a fucking piece of shit, that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Fighting him genuinely pisses me off. Which I kind of... Something I don't ever want to say about a fight in like an RPG is that this is actually making me angry.
Yeah.
And I feel like
it happens a lot. And
in Bravely Default, there are a lot of classes that are kind of difficult to use, but because the game has programmed characters into those classes, they're kind of the best possible example of what that class could potentially do.
Yeah.
And some of them, it's just like, yeah, I get the potential is infinite, and it's like, but look, you can do this too. And I'm like, yeah.
But I don't want to grind 14 levels.
I don't want to grind 14 levels with a character that's ostensibly shit until you reach a certain power peak, you know?
Yeah. And, well, that's kind of the problem with the Templar Asterix is I threw it on Ringabel, and immediately like the attacks that were doing gangbusters of like 5,000 damage dropped down to like 1,500, and I was like, whoa.
What? Yeah. Fucking ridiculous.
So you gotta level that back up to get all those fucking attacks back up too.
Even
with the Knight Asterix as the secondary, it still doesn't give you the bonuses. It's fucking I was like, whatever.
That shit is fucking obnoxious.
Yeah.
There's certain classes in the game that I don't touch specifically because the cap to make them useful is too fucking high. Mm-hmm. Templar I worked through because I thought Edea being a Templar was like thematically cool.
Yeah, it is.
And I think that she is a very effective Templar if you use her correctly.
Yeah.
Because she's a sword girl. She's a sword girl.
Does Bravely 2nd fix some of those issues, or does it just kind of?
Well, the classes are entirely different for the most part.
I figured they were gonna switch up classes, but
there's some very strange classes, and I'm gonna be honest. I haven't played 2nd in a while, so I don't really recall what my experience was.
Fair enough.
But there's like variations on, like there are black magic and white magic using classes and stuff like that. But from what I recall, I don't think I think there's a class called Hawkeye, which is like I guess they're like snipers, and they can use guns and bows, and they're pretty useful. But they're also one of those classes that, until a certain cap, are fucking difficult to make use of. But the real depth of making people useful in Bravely Default is finding out how to like dual class them perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like making my Ringabel a Dark Knight vampire was a really good move.
I'm super excited to get the Dark Knight Asterix just because the armor is really fucking cool, and I'm stoked to see it on the actual characters to see who wears it best, but probably Ringabel.
Yeah.
The vampire one, like I haven't fought him yet. I went to his castle and he was like, "Bring back the 6 stones," and I went, "Oh fuck, okay."
Yeah, you got to do that.
One
first.
of those.
It's an optional class like Sage. But
it kind of makes me sad that that's even an option because like he seems pretty chill.
He's a hard fight.
Yeah.
It's a really difficult fight because the vampire's power essentially is, as you can imagine, absorbing MP and HP. And I mean that dual classes really nicely with Dark Knight, because Dark Knight is all about sacrificing HP to do bigger damage.
Yeah.
So absorbing it back afterwards with vampire abilities is like, ooh.
Yes, please, more of
you.
this.
You can make like an extremely powerful self healing tank.
Yeah, it's like Magic the Gathering dark green deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's exactly like that. It's an extremely powerful like dual class option that you can take later on in the game. But
still having so much fun with that game though. I'm surprised that it's still going.
Wonderful. The mileage you can get out of that RPG is
so fucking
staggering.
long, dude. My girlfriend
staggering.
the other day was actually like, "You're still playing Bravely Default?" I was like, "Yeah."
All I have to say to you, dude, is that you're not even fucking halfway through.
I know, and I thought
you're not even fucking halfway through. It's nuts. You've come to the crux of the first part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the part if it was a PS1 game where you'd be switching to disc 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is nuts to think, because this game is positively massive, and you've already sunk how many fucking hours into it? Like,
I think I'm at like 50 now, which is crazy.
That's a long fucking game.
I think some parts I might have like just had the DS open though.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But that's nuts.
Did that. Super enjoying that, and I'm really excited to play Bravely Second now. And see how this one concludes.
You've got a lot in store for you. I can't wait until you get to some of like
the later shit.
Oh my fucking god, it's gonna blow your goddamn mind.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, it's gonna blow your goddamn mind. Amazing.
Did that. I played the DMC5 demo. That game's gonna be fucking amazing. That game's gonna be so good.
Absolutely.
The potential for combos and the I don't know if you saw the taunts being different with each ranking of your style meter. It's gonna be a good game.
It's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful.
So yeah, I did that. I got S rank. First try. I was like, yes.
Now you just flexing.
Yeah, now I'm just flexing.
Fucking S rank first try DMC5 demo, bitch. Fuck yeah.
That will not happen in the main game.
No, it will certainly not. It definitely will not.
What else did I do? Did I play anything on Steam? Baby, did I play anything on Steam?
Did you play anything on what?
Don't worry about it. I don't remember what else I played. I think that was pretty much it, honestly. I'm going back through Kingdom Hearts and just cleaning up achievements to platinum it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really remember.
You're working your way through.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's true. Me and my friend played a bit of the Resident Evil 2 DLC.
Okay.
That was free, called Ghost Survivors.
Okay, so what's the premise of the DLC pack? Because I have no idea.
The premise of the DLC pack is there are 3, I think. So far, I think you start with 3. Maybe there's 4 after you beat the other 3. Like maybe one unlocks after. I'm not sure. But essentially you follow 3 people who are in Raccoon City who are not Leon, not Claire.
Okay.
And it is complete, total, nonsensory, alternate universe shit. It opens up with, like, in a timeline, or in a time that could have been but wasn't, or something.
Okay, fuck.
And one of the easiest ones, actually, is a timeline where you're playing as, I can't remember her name, but basically the police chief kidnaps this girl and kills her in the main game. And she's just, like, lying on the table, and he has this weird, like, taxidermy fetish that just evolved into like, this is mine now.
That's fucked. Okay.
Yeah, but essentially in her timeline, she kills him, and now you have to escape. It introduces a new enemy type called the Pale Ones, which are regeneratory, which take many, many, many bullets unless they are heavy magnum bullets, which it starts you out with 2 of.
God damn.
Yeah. So. But there's normal zombies, there's dogs. It's actually really fucking hard. We didn't make it that far because we then switched over to like 5 to play a 2-player game. But we wanted to check that out. Really fun. It introduces a shop mechanic kind of where you'll come up to these those dispensary machines that you put a quarter in and a little ball comes out. That's pretty much the
gacha, a gacha machine?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. I don't know why the word wasn't there.
God.
But essentially fucking you have 3 options of like, here's 4 heavy ammo bullets, here's a grenade, and here's 30 handgun bullets. You can only pick one per like little shop area thing. There seems to be quite a bit of them, but there's also a lot of motherfucking zombies. As soon as you make it out of the orphanage, which is the starting area, you go into a park. There's 3 dogs, 1 zombie, and one of the zombies has a backpack that's containing a key you need, so you have to deal with the dogs. Then you get out of there and you come to this open area where it's all blocked off except for a bus. You have to go through the bus to get through it. You get to that shop area. As soon as you pick that up, like 10 zombies spawn in that open area. So you're essentially fucked and just trying to kite them around. And I tried kiting them around. I get into the bus, and in the bus there are 2 pale ones, and I was just like, fuck. Okay.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
This version is not playing around.
Just listening to this is stressing me out.
Dude, it was bad. We would die in, like, the first area we died once, came up with the game plan, made it to the second area, was like, fuck, shouldn't have picked the handgun ammo, died.
Yikes.
Game plan. They do a cool thing where you get a training mode that you can just go in and practice.
Okay, and like fuck around with weapons.
Yeah,
and
I think
shit.
it's. I don't know if it's unlimited ammo. I can't remember what the thing was because we didn't touch
the
it.
least,
We
the
just got
literal
the
least realistic fucking Resi scenario ever.
Yeah, just to like get a feel for the map and stuff.
Okay.
Essentially like, we got the notification, but we were like, we're too in it for this.
Okay.
So we tried that one. It was rough. I tried the other Ghost Survivor, whose name also escapes me, but essentially is part of the strike team that goes into the nest, which is the Umbrella HQ.
Yes.
He gets separated from the rest of his team and has to escape before the shit explodes, because the countdown timer has started. And that one is fucking crazy hard. You get a submachine gun with 30 bullets about, and then you have to just rush from store area to store area. You gotta really decide who you're shooting, and like I think it's the hardest rated one. The ratings are like by star. You've got like the girls is 3-star, then you've got 2-star, and then there's the Kendo gun shop owner's side story, which we didn't touch because it has some spoilers for Leon's, and I was like, I don't want to know yet because I haven't beaten Leon's story. I was too focused on Kingdom Hearts 3 for a bit there, and I haven't really
sidetracked you a little bit.
Have been very busy with things this week to sit down and play it, but I'll be streaming that soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. The Ghost Survivors DLC is going to be a fun stream.
Seek.
And other than that, and talking about this, we can kind of segue into your week also. I watched Umbrella Academy.
Yes, and so did I.
I have
How
not
much of it did you watch?
Yet. We just got to the episode where the cop lady dies. Can't remember her name.
So you're like 4 or 5 episodes in.
Yeah, Diego's
Diego's
ex-girlfriend or something.
Yeah. Okay. So I have some thoughts on Umbrella Academy. Good thoughts.
Love it. I love it so far. I have never, like, I didn't expect it to be this good. I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't expect it to be this good.
I honestly don't think anybody did, because the reviews have been rolling in for it, and critics and audiences both seem to agree that just like the weirdness of the entire thing is only balanced out by how genuinely good it is, like how well crafted it is as a series. And it's highly entertaining television.
Mm-hmm. And it's I think it's really well thought out, and like the character developments make sense.
Yes.
Like that
yes,
Klaus
absolutely.
is taking a bunch of drugs to not see all these dead people is the most like, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. No one would psychologically really be able to handle that for like if that was your superpower, you would not go into adulthood being an okay human.
Yeah, and how Luther isolates himself by living away from humanity.
Yeah.
Because he feels so separate from humanity
Yeah,
now
since he got the
due
serum.
to his. Yeah, exactly. He's just like, I'm not even like any of you, even in the slightest like biological sense anymore.
Yeah.
I just can't be around people. Like I'm cumbersome and I'm dangerous.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just isolates himself by living in his little moon house.
Hanging out with his ma.
Yeah, which is pretty sad.
Yeah.
And then yeah, no, just like, Allison's entire life collapsing because pretty much up to this point, her entire life is a lie.
Yeah.
Like she's structured. So I guess we should probably go into how this works. So Umbrella Academy, it's a TV series. It's just started streaming on Netflix, based on a comic book series published by Dark Horse and written by Gerard Way with art by Gabrielle Ba. And it is kind of a send-up / tribute to Grant Morrison's run of Doom Patrol, which ran throughout the 1980s, which is a famously psychedelic comic that handles like difficult subject matter like sexuality and abuse and trauma in like a really, really interesting way that was pretty ahead of its time in the 80s. And this is a comic that Gerard Way, who's the creator, grew up reading and he fell in love with. And I think that rubbed off on him in such a way that when he finally got the chance to write his own comic series, because he's been a lifelong comic book fan, he used to work at a comic book store in New York City. He decided to kind of play tribute to the stories that he grew up loving. But he injects it with kind of this manic punk rock energy that, not that Morrison doesn't have a punk rock element to his writing, because he's very much kind of from the punk writing kind of community.
Yeah. But Gerard brings a more a newer touch.
Yeah, his work is a little moodier.
Yeah.
Umbrella Academy, I think, deals a little more openly with the idea of relationships being abusive and toxic. So the premise of the story is that sometime in the 1980s, 47 women all across the planet Earth give birth, all at the same time, and they're all women who previously were not pregnant.
The same day.
Yeah, all on the same day at the same time. They all give birth to a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
An eccentric professor, scientist, adventurer named Reginald Hargraves takes note of this and manages to acquire 7 of these kids.
I just read a spoiler.
Ooh, don't do that.
Yeah, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, he manages to find 7 of these kids, take them into his custody, and raise them like his own children. But his idea of raising children is more akin to raising weapons. So he starts his organization, the Umbrella Academy,
as a crime deterrent.
Yeah,
I
essentially
really like the phrasing they used.
So that's a pretty apt description, quite honestly. It kind of gets, I think it digs pretty deep right there into how this is like abjectly a vanity project for one man.
Yeah. Because they're not like adopted kids, and it's not a crime fighting squad. It is crime deterrent children.
Exactly. They're meant to exist as a symbol of to kind of fear people. He's raised essentially a group of 7 atomic bombs.
Yeah. To
hang over the heads of everybody on the planet. But of course, raising children to be weapons does not a good family make. And this family, by the time the series has begun, has drifted apart. People have died. People have had falling outs. And relationships and lives have crumbled and deteriorated. These children were treated so poorly that he didn't even pay enough mind to them to give them proper names.
Yeah.
So they had to be named by their mother, who is a fucking android and not even a human.
Made by
Hargreaves
himself.
Essentially to do the stuff that he's too lazy to do himself, which is be a decent fucking parent.
Also,
and Pogo.
I think it's important to kind of touch on the way he trains the children too is one of abusive.
Yes.
And that's putting it lightly.
Yeah, it's extremely abusive. It's kind of like pitting them against one another in like contests to see which ones are the most effective, and clearly playing favorites with his son Luther, who I think, all things considered, at least in his mind, he believes that he had a good and productive relationship with his father.
Yeah.
Which none of the other children seem to agree is what he had.
Luther really thinks that his dad did it
for the greater good.
Yeah, had hard decisions to make, and he made the ones that would benefit humanity, and
and not them as individuals.
A weird, gross respect for him.
Yeah, and which
also being
many characters
are Teddable bear, a lovable
teddy bear. He's clearly as probably the most innocent and well-intentioned of all of the people in the academy, all these characters amongst his siblings. He's the only one whose power kind of doesn't have any negative connotations. So he's the one who's kind of got the Superman abilities.
Yeah.
He's got durability, speed, strength, flight, all of that stuff.
Big hurry arms.
Exactly. And later on, after an accident, his head is transplanted onto the body of a Martian ape. So he's kind of got a big ape body, but he's kind of the Superman character. He's like very pure-hearted and innocent, and he genuinely does, much to his detriment, believe that his father was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a point of tension between him and his siblings. So his siblings, the rest of them are Allison, who is the rumor.
Which is a really cool ability.
Yeah, she can alter the fabric of reality by lying to people.
Yeah.
Which is
just straight up like, hey, I heard a rumor that blank blank blank, and
I heard a rumor that you shot your friend
in the foot, and he does it.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. Love that.
So yeah, her entire power is telling lies. She can alter how people think and feel about her based on how she talks to them, which is a fucked up and extremely ridiculous power. Then there's Ben.
I don't know what his power is yet, because he's dead.
Okay, so Ben is dead by the time the series begins.
Yeah.
He died in action. Do you mind if I say what his power is?
Is it cool enough for it to be an oh shit moment in the show?
No, not really.
Okay, go for it.
Because you kind of already see what he's able to do.
Yeah, go for it.
So he has like a portal to another dimension under his skin. And in that other dimension, there's like Lovecraftian monsters, and he can manipulate and send those monsters out of his skin. So it kind of looks like tentacles are emerging from his flesh.
That is cool.
Yeah, so he's got monsters living beneath his skin, which is really a fucked up power. Then there is Klaus.
Best character so far.
Klaus is my favorite character in the show and in the comic. Man. He is, well, his name is the Seance.
He speaks with the dead.
Yeah, he can convene and communicate with people who have died, which is an extremely fucked up and damaging superpower to have.
Especially when you have it as a child and your dad locks you in a fucking crypt.
And forces you to speak to a bunch of dead motherfuckers. That is an extremely fucked up thing to do to a kid, and it shows you kind of what led Klaus to becoming a drug addict.
Yeah.
A really extremely habitual drug addict.
It's also, I mean, like, he doesn't hear the voices when he's blitzed, so he remains blitzed as often as possible.
Exactly, so that he can avoid having to feel the effects of his powers.
Yeah.
Which is extremely sad. And then there is Diego, who is the Kraken.
I don't think I've seen his superpower yet.
Well, he basically has like pinpoint accuracy.
Okay.
But he also
Oh, go for it.
He's a knife thrower, right?
Yeah.
He fights mostly with knives, but he also has the ability to kind of hold his breath underwater for like extremely ridiculous amounts of time.
Okay.
So he can essentially breathe underwater.
Okay. See, I read the Kraken part, and I was like, huh. I mean, I know he's really fucking pinpoint accurate with knives and can do anything, but that doesn't really necessitate the Kraken. But
yeah, he's got like razor sharp reflexes, accuracy. He's kind of like if Bullseye and Aquaman kind of had a kid.
Yeah.
So he's kind of like a professional mercenary and assassin, and he's kind of a fucked up shit stirrer.
Mm-hmm.
He loves to fuck with his siblings. And he's extremely selfish and unconscionable towards their feelings.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he sucks. He's a dickhole.
Him and Luther get into it a lot. It makes me sad.
Yeah, they have a really, really like detrimental relationship with one another. And it's kind of like it's fucked up, and a lot of conflict throughout this like the first little part of the series is them fighting.
Yeah.
Then there is Vanya.
Don't do it, because I know she probably doesn't get a thing, but I don't.
So I'm not gonna say what her ability is. She does have one, yeah.
Yeah, but I figured.
I will not tell you what it is, and as far as the rest of them are aware, she's the only one that doesn't have any powers.
She's really good at the violin, but not good enough.
Yes, she is a talented violin player, and that is as much as I will say, but she's the one who, in the entire situation, kind of got it the worst and the least worst.
Yeah.
On one hand, she didn't have to bear the brunt of her father's abuse, but because of the amount of attention put on her siblings, she inadvertently is kind of the most neglected and outcast of all of them. Because she's the one of them who's not extraordinary.
Yeah. And
she, in turn, when she left their family, she wrote like a tell-all book about being the one who didn't have powers.
Yeah.
And
kind of in a
it was like a
Haunting on Hill House manner, where everyone that was part of the family was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck is your problem? You exploited us for money, you bitch. And it makes her an outcast, even though, for the most part, pretty much everything that she said in that book is kind of true.
Yeah.
Like, she was just brutally fucking honest about how rough of a fucking upbringing they had, and it's made her an outcast to the rest of her family, with the exception of Allison, who seems to have some sort of affection for her.
But at the same time, they have a kind of like love-hate relationship where they'll get into each other's skin really hard, but then
they're the only two girls of the family, so they were probably in constant competition. But yeah, Vanya doesn't have powers. Then there's number 5. Number 5 doesn't have a name because he left the family before he got a name. The reason he left the family is because he's kind of a headstrong and impulsive little bitch,
and he can time travel. So
he can dimension hop and time travel, which is an extremely ridiculous power set. But as a child, he was using his powers irresponsibly, and he accidentally traveled so forward in time that he witnessed the end of the world,
which is in about 7 days.
Yeah, 7 days from the point in which the series begins. So the series kind of starts with Reginald Hargreaves having passed away, and the family reconvening at the mansion where they all grew up to essentially to bury him. They all don't have a lot of nice shit to say about their dad, and then kind of out of nowhere, number 5 suddenly comes back after being missing for, in their timeline, 16 years, I think.
Isn't it 20 something?
It was something like 17. It was like in the teens. But he left when he was a teenager. And it was something like that. And he comes back, and suddenly, at least in his life, it's been over like 50 years. So he's like a 50-year-old man trapped in the body of a 13-year-old boy. And he is not only proficient at using his abilities by this point, but also even more impulsive and headstrong, very world-weary and distrusting of others, and kind of like a crack shot with like a gun, an experienced hand-to-hand combatant. Like he's become a complete badass.
Yeah.
and with that, compounded on top of his already ridiculously extreme superpowers, make him like a force to be reckoned with.
Mm-hmm.
So this family meeting up after the death of their father kind of has to contend with, where to move on now that like the person who kind of kept them all together is gone.
Yeah.
How is it that they deal with the fact that he was like a neglectful and abusive father? And how to proceed ensuring that the apocalypse that the boy saw when he traveled forward in time doesn't occur. So it's kind of a bunch of shit going on at once. What do you think about how the show looks? Because that's one of the most interesting things to me.
I really fucking like it. The gray, flat kind of colors.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. I like the effects they do for Klaus when he's going into withdrawal and starting to see dead people again.
Yes.
I find they're very effective to induce the feeling as accurately as you can through a TV show, I guess. Of what
yes,
it
absolutely.
Probably would be like.
You're sounding a little odd.
Oh yeah, it's the bath is running. Can you close the door, baby?
Oh, that's what it is.
Well,
oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
It'll just be a small amount of time.
It's okay. It doesn't really matter. We can cut it out anyway in the MP3, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's true. The effect that they use for Klaus using his powers is like, oh, it looks really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
The special effects are really impressive in the show.
Yeah.
Like the effect on Pogo, he's their chimpanzee manservant who speaks with a British accent.
Because he has to.
Of course he does. He's a sophisticated monkey man.
Person, yeah.
But a remarkably uncanny looking render of a chimp that at the same time conveys a lot of humanity and sympathy.
Mm-hmm.
Which is remarkable for
so real.
No, it looks really fantastic, and it's probably one of the most complicated special effects in the show that they achieved through CG.
Mm-hmm.
Because even like Luther's monkey body, they find ways to kind of depict it practically that make it look not distracting,
Yeah.
But they're not achieving it with CG. So Pogo is pretty much one of the few extremely computer-generated characters within the show, and he looks fantastic. Like you can tell a lot of budget was poured into making sure that for the amount of screen time he has, that he's a convincingly good-looking chimp.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's like this quality to the way that his eyes are done, the way that so much emotion is conveyed through his face. Like the face of a monkey, like of a chimpanzee. Chimpanzees have very expressive faces, but he's conveying like human emotions.
Yeah, exactly. It's very impressive.
It is. Like I was shocked at. I was like when we came on screen, I went like I audibly gasped.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really very effective looking character. There's a bunch of shit that happens in the show that we probably can't go into because just spoiler territory.
Yeah.
But needless to say, they have to deal with time traveling assassins.
Yeah, they're coming back to get number 5, and are seemingly unaware of the entire situation of that family.
Yeah, like they're just like, okay, we're just gonna kill this motherfucker and get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't seem to be aware of the fact that they're like super powered motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And that seems to not bode super well for them, because they're both very bereaved and kind of they don't like their jobs. They just want to get it fucking done.
I fucking love that they're always like, these fucking pay cuts. I can't believe they're doing this to us again.
Yeah, they've got great banter. It's Mary J. Blige plays Cha-Cha, and her partner Hazel, he's played by the guy who's in Mindhunters as the killer.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very, very... They've got extremely good chemistry. She's kind of the one who's always on, and he's like kind of like quieter,
always
a little
off.
more reserved. Yeah, he's always there like, these fucking pay cuts. Like he's like a grumbly kind of grump. Yeah. And she's just the one who's like, man, these fucking pay cuts.
I
Jesus
love
Christ.
the potential romance between Donut Shop Lady and Hazel so much.
Yes.
They are my OTP, and I didn't expect it coming. Oh man, I'm like, just the little moments happening. I'm always like, yes, this is the kind of
content that you watch Netflix for.
Yeah, exactly. Just unsuspecting romantic shit from
and
Donut
it's really
Lady
cute.
And
it's like
it's
genuinely
agent.
effective relationship building.
Yeah.
Because it's not something they even had to consider doing, because it's not like the Donut Shop Lady is a major character.
Yeah.
But they treat her as a person with the same faculties as any of the other characters in the show.
Yeah.
Which is a respectable approach to take to writing, side characters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the series is really, really good. As you stated, like, it looks amazing. I was trying to think of a way to describe it to my friend last night when we were talking about it. I was kind of like, I hate to say that it reminds me of like a Tim Burton movie, because it's almost
fucking god, yes.
Because it almost does a disservice to the show itself in how like sophisticated and not artificial it looks for something that's like almost entirely artifice and even just its most basic concept. But like, it doesn't look like it has Bo Welch set design. Like, none of those crazy fucking sets or anything like that.
Yeah, no one has big bulgy CGIs for no reason.
Yeah, and it looks like almost like something like Big Fish.
Yeah.
Where there's just enough heightened cinematography and lighting for it to seem almost ethereal and kind of weird and off-kilter, but never so much that it distracts from you focusing entirely on the story.
Yeah.
So it serves its purpose well in that it gives you kind of a fully realized aesthetic approach to depicting its world without that world being so distractingly like comic booky or odd. Yeah. And it's not that it's like totally realistic either. Like it's kind of got this very timeless quality to how like everything looks. It reminds its approach to world design is reminiscent of something like Batman the Animated Series, where this could either take place in like the 80s, even potentially the fucking 20s. But if it wasn't for the presence of contemporary technology, this could be pretty much any time period.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, this is the city. But it's a brilliantly executed show. I think that's a big recommendation from both of us.
Oh, big time. I was pleasantly, like, I wasn't expecting it to be bad. I just wasn't expecting it to be as good as it is.
Yes, exactly.
I was expecting more of what I got out of Titans, which was, I get it, it's not for me. So I fell off Titans.
That's okay.
But yeah, like, that's what I was kind of expecting, but I also, like, I really like Gerard Way, and it being from him, I was like, I'll give it a shot, even if I don't like it, I'll finish the whole season, like, I just won't fall off, just to kind of see what it's about, and
yes,
I am pleasantly surprised that I am already not even done the first season and awaiting the second one.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
like
going to
breath.
a comic shop to pick up all the things I can
of it. Yeah.
Well,
Hotel Oblivion, the new series, is just starting.
Okay.
So you'll have some new Umbrella Academy stuff to read.
Rad.
But yeah, so far it's just been like a very great adaptation of an already fantastic comic series. And I cannot wait to see what season 2 has to offer.
That's a big recommend from both of us.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Titans, because the other thing that I watched this week that I was really impressed with was Titans' first spin-off series. So Titans, as we know, as we discussed when we were watching it, was surprisingly good. So good, in fact, that they had the confidence to pretty much announce within a couple of, I guess, months of announcing the show itself, that they would also be bringing characters from other comics onto the streaming service that DC has, DC Universe, to have their own series. So debuting in I think it was episode 5 or 4 of Titans, we had the Doom Patrol, and I spoke extensively about how much I was enjoying that version of those characters. when we talked about that episode a couple of episodes ago. But Doom Patrol, the series, has started proper. The first episode premiered on Friday alongside the first season of Umbrella Academy, which is apt because, as I stated previously, Umbrella Academy is heavily influenced by Doom Patrol.
Big time.
In particular, the run of the books that Grant Morrison wrote. Now, the interesting thing about this version of Doom Patrol is that it's more heavily based upon the run of the series that Gerard Way wrote. Which ended fairly recently and was part of his imprint at DC called Young Animal, which I was a huge fan of, and I've since collected the entire everything of. Mm-hmm. It was a small imprint at DC that he curated with a bunch of kind of interesting and weird off-kilter psychedelic or experimental books.
This is just the Gerard Way cast now.
Exactly. Well, there we go. It's the Gerard Way cast. And the flagship series for this line of comics was Gerard Way's new version of Doom Patrol, which I was kind of surprised is not very much like Umbrella Academy. It's a very different take on Doom Patrol. It's his own take. So Umbrella Academy is his take on Morrison's Doom Patrol. Mm-hmm. His take on Doom Patrol is an entirely new take on Doom Patrol. It's still psychedelic and weird and hard to parse in the way that some of Grant Morrison's work was.
Yeah.
But it's different. And it's such a strange kind of different that it almost defies description, which is the boon it was just not the boon, but the bane of anybody who's trying to describe something over an audio podcast.
Yeah.
Suffice it to say, Doom Patrol, the Gerard Way comic, is like a really stellar comic book series, and this series takes a few cues from it. So Doom Patrol, the TV show, is about the team of characters, the Doom Patrol, that are introduced in the first episode of Titans that they appeared in. They're kind of a ragtag group of misfit characters, not really superheroes, just super-powered individuals who are totally outcasted from society.
Yeah.
They live in a mansion called Doom Manor, secluded away from the rest of society. And there they kind of lived comfortably and together, and they formed this little functional family. So the difference between this family and the family in Umbrella Academy is that these people are brought together because they are outcasts, and the people in Umbrella Academy, those characters, they're outcasts, certainly.
But they were brought together by an asshole.
Exactly. They were brought together by an... I'll get to talking about Niles Calder, who's kind of the Reginald Hargreaves of the Doom Patrol. He is not necessarily a nice person either, but suffice it to say, he was not an abusive parent to these characters, the way that Hargreaves is, and they were not raised by him as children. So a lot of them are kind of fully realized adults with kind of their own lives and personal histories before they meet Niles.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they've kind of formed their own little functional family unit, and they live comfortably together, but they live separated from society, and they feel like they're outcasts. And some of them are content in staying in the mansion and never having to interact with the outside world, which they understand to be cruel and rejectionist towards people like them who are different. It's very X-Men, actually. It's what if the X-Men weren't altruistic? You know? Like, what if the X-Men didn't go out of their way to fight for the good of humanity and mutant kind?
What if the X-Men hid away?
What if the X-Men just hid away and lived in seclusion, comfortable and relative comfort away from society? See, the problem is you can't really live in comfort when the person who's brought you under their wing, Dr. Niles Calder, has a lot of enemies. Niles Calder is, well, they call him the Chief. He's played by Timothy Dalton in this show, and he's kind of a dick. He's not a dick because he's mean or because he's abusive, but he's a dick because he keeps secrets. He's so worried and concerned for a lot of these people and for their lives and keeping them safe and away from harm that he lies to them for their protection. But these lies also, in a sense, are an effort on his part to absolve himself of his past sins, which have led to his enemies from his past targeting him and his new family. So, the show starts out with narration from Alan Tudyk. Alan Tudyk plays the antagonist of the series, Mr. Nobody. Mr. Nobody is fucked up, I guess I can say. Mm-hmm. He's an extremely volatile and psychopathic individual who, I guess the origin of him is that he was in Paraguay. He was kind of a villain, like, already, but he was kind of a C tier, not very well respected kind of evildoer.
Yeah.
Who traveled to Paraguay to meet an ex-Nazi scientist so that the ex-Nazi scientist could test out his like device that he had created on him, which would essentially allow him to like cure insanity or something. Is that what it was? I'm just gonna check that out for a second. Mr. Nobody. The effect that they used to achieve Nobody's appearance in the show, I'll talk about in just a second. I just want to solidify what the fuck is up with Mr. Nobody here. Mr. Nobody DC. Okay, so he starts off as Eric Morden. He is a little piece of shit. He's like a sniveling little villain.
Yeah.
And yes, this ex-Nazi scientist is experimenting on Morden to give him the ability to drain the sanity from other human beings. So he was intended to have the ability to drain people of their sanity. Instead, he himself is driven insane by this experiment. While he does retain the ability to drain the sanity from others,
mm-hmm.
he's so insane and so fucked by this point, and his entire chemistry and body is changed into this completely inhuman thing that he's only entirely obsessed singularly with destroying his enemy Niles Calder. And he's going to do that by killing the little surrogate family he's created for himself out of the Doom Patrol. So he is the narrator of the first episode. And before I get to talking about Nobody himself, who I think is a technical achievement by all accounts for how he looks,
mm-hmm.
I want to talk about some of the other characters. So the Doom Patrol in this iteration of the team is comprised of Robot Man, played by Brendan Fraser, and then Negative Man, and there's also Elasti-Woman and Crazy Jane. Robot Man is the brain of a former race car driver, Cliff Steele, who presumably died in a car accident and had his brain implanted into the body of a robot. He can't feel, he can't eat, he can't shit, he can't sleep. He is entirely robotic, save for a human brain, which is still capable of all of his faculties as a human. So he is empathetic and sympathetic, and he's got a human mind, but he's got the body of a robot, and he can't experience the world the way humans do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So he feels detached from humanity, and from his family, who perished in the car accident that led him to being literally just a brain. So Niles implanted his body into that of a robot, and he's essentially missed out on 10 years of his life. So Robot Man is kind of the main POV character of this first part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who, throughout the course of the first episode, you see him go into the car accident, die, and then you see him wake up on the operating table as a brain, you know. And then he comes up, he's Robot Man, he's living in Doom Manor, and you see, like, you know, 2 decades or 3 decades of his life go by where he's accepted his fate. He's kind of used to living with the patrol, and he's become one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The other members of the team are Negative Man, who is a former pilot who came into contact during a test flight with, I guess, some sort of radiation, and the radiation changed his body chemistry so that he's able to project his soul out of his body. he kind of looks like the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Which is a really cool design and an intentional tribute to the Claude Rains version of the Invisible Man.
Of course.
Elasti-Woman is a former Olympian and actress from the 1940s who, while filming from the 50s, who while filming kind of this schlocky B movie in Africa, falls off of a dock that she's shooting on and absorbs residual like volcanic gases from underneath this volcanic like pond that they were filming over. And these gases alter her body chemistry so that her body can no longer like constitute itself properly, and she's become like a wad of putty.
Yeah.
Like a flesh putty. So she can mold herself and hold herself in a particular form, but when she gets stressed or upset, she can no longer hold her shape.
Yeah.
So she can turn into anything or anybody she wants. But
unless she gets stressed.
Yeah, exactly. But she's also vain. She's a vain movie star. So she literally cannot stand to go out in the world knowing that she looks the way she does.
Yeah.
No matter the fact that she can look how she does, she's so nervous being seen as a monster that she can't even constitute herself long enough in public to remain vaguely human looking. So she's completely shunned the outside world. And then there's Jane. Jane's an interesting case, and there's something to be said about the character and the problematic elements to who she is and what she is. So Jane has like over 60 personalities living in her brain. It's not ostensibly portrayed as dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
But the similarities are obvious. Mm-hmm. And I can see that this character...
The inspiration was drawn from somewhere.
Exactly. And there's something to be said about the way DID has been portrayed in media, where it's kind of been mischaracterized. Mm-hmm. So Jane's got 63 or so different personalities living in her head. They're all very distinct people. They're all separate from one another, but they all share a body. And they're kind of locked beneath each other in like this interconnected network of doors that is represented in her brain as kind of like a subway station.
Yeah.
And there's different tiers and stops in the station. And there's like the prime stop, which is her prime, initial personality that she was conceived and born with. Mm-hmm. And the alternate personalities and alters that live within her mind. The twist with this, however, is that every alter has a different superpower. So she's got 63 different superpowered individuals sharing one body.
That's a bit much.
That's a lot.
Take a seat, Sora.
Yeah, so she's kind of got a fucked up situation, and she's portrayed as being very erratic, and the different personalities are such different people that, like, while they do interact with one another, they don't all come out at the same time. So she'll, one scene she'll be one personality, and then in another she'll be another. I can see how this might be considered offensive, but I'm not going to comment. I guess I shouldn't comment any further on it because it's not really my place.
Yeah.
As somebody who doesn't suffer from DID, nor who knows anybody truly personally that does, or at least understands to such an extent how it functions that I feel to comment on it. And, I don't. Yeah. I know very.
My understanding is very limited, also. So
exactly. So I'm not going to say too much more about it, except take heed if that's something that concerns you. Be aware of that. It is a little problematic, and it's an element of the series that obviously hasn't aged well, which they maybe regretfully decided to adapt into the show. Mm-hmm. Regardless, she's not portrayed as a bad person. She's a hero. This isn't Split, where the character is a villain. She is a hero. Some of the personalities are not pleasant. There's one called Hammerhead, who's like needlessly aggressive and always tries to kind of pick fights with people. But there's other personalities that are very pleasant, personable individuals, and they're all fully realized people. They're not just dependent on one trait to define them. Some of them are nicer people than others. That's something that I do kind of like. I don't know whether or not that's totally okay that I like that, but I think that at least it's refreshing that they're not either completely monstrous or like completely angels. They're fully realized individuals, each one of them. They each have a power. Yeah. So it's the superpower that defines them and signifies them to the audience, and not just the fact that they have one singular personality trait. Which is maybe some kind of respectable. I'm not entirely certain. Anyway, I actually really like Jane as a character. I think she's she's fun and interesting, and she clearly has a lot of affection for these people that she lives with at Doom Manor. But anyway, the plot of the first episode concerns Mr. Nobody kind of leading the audience through the origins of this kind of weird ersatz family unit that they've formed, and all kind of through the lens of Cliff kind of becoming Robot Man and learning to live with them. And then they explain, people kind of come and go, but some of them just prefer to live at Doom Manor, and that's Cliff, Negative Man, Elastigwoman, and Jane. Mm-hmm. Jane, some of her personalities like to stray, but some of them like to stay. So she comes back often. Yeah. And Niles is there to look after them. But this episode, Niles decides to kind of go and do some routine work, and he trusts them to stay at home and to not leave the mansion. They are going to do it until Jane suggests that maybe they go out and live a little. Because she's been out there and she doesn't, this personality of hers doesn't like being cooped up. So they opt to go, and they take their little school bus that they have, which Negative Man uses to grow his little plants. He has like a little garden, mm-hmm. which is really cute. He's into horticulture. Also, he's gay, but he's into horticulture. And they drive to a little town, and they try to have like a normal day in town. But it gets interrupted when just kind of shit falls apart. They have an argument. The argument triggers a whole bunch of different scenarios to occur in which these characters are forced to kind of be the catalyst to a larger, conflict or like little bit of little town chaos. So they leave the town feeling more ostracized than ever. But this event is so widely publicized that Mr. Nobody finds out where the fuck they are and hunts them down. And the first episode ends with Nobody revealing to Niles Calder that he's there and that he's about to turn their shit upside down.
Oh, damn.
Nobody is an interesting character. Like I said, he has the ability to drain the sanity from people, mm-hmm. but he himself is also insane. The reason he is insane is because he is a literally fragmented individual. He is two-dimensional. So he's a two-dimensional man who's kind of mocapped by Alan Tudyk, so you see his face kind of mocapped, but he kind of looks like a shadow, or like a two-dimensional caricature of a shadow. He's got this heart-shaped hole in the middle of the shadow form, and he's got like pieces kind of making up his form, and he looks unstable. The way that he is portrayed with this special effect makes him look like he's this unstable mass of dark energy. Mm-hmm. And he's really fucking cool looking. In the comics, he's just kind of like a strange 2D man, and he moves like a weird 2D shape. But in this, to convey somebody as being 2D in what is ostensibly a 3-dimensional live-action space, the effect is achieved brilliantly. He looks really scary. And the episode kind of ends with him threatening to fuck all their shit up, and I guess revealing that he's brought like his fucking posse of villains to this town, and they're about to raise hell. So it sounds really fucking good. I'm excited to see where this goes. But needless to say, the first episode is full of like emotional highs and lows. I didn't even get into how well developed a character Robot Man is, and how much I really love Brendan Fraser's portrayal of Cliff Steele as like a person who has so many regrets in life, but literally will never be able to resolve most of them because his entire old life is gone. Mm-hmm. And him just having to shut the fuck down to live with that. It's very tragic, and it's portrayed with a lot of gravitas and emotion. So Brendan Fraser, like, thank fuck you've come back to acting. I've genuinely missed you, and you're a talented dude. He does a very good job with Cliff. And the rest of the characters are like Matt Bomer as Negative Man. Brilliant portrayal of that character. Stellar. And like I said, I didn't go into it. He is gay, and the way that that's worked in to his self-perception, mm-hmm. he was a gay man in the 60s. Yeah. So the way that yeah. Oh yeah?
No, go for it.
The way that plays into his self-perception as like a monster, and the way that compounds with like his extremely fucked up radical ability to project his soul out of his body is interesting. So I really, really like how that's kind of executed. So yeah, take heed. Might not be for everybody.
I'm going to check it out because the Doom Patrol in Titans was actually the best part of Titans, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I really liked that episode as well.
Yeah, it was the most interesting part, with as far as I got anyway. I might go back to Titans after I finish Umbrella Academy just to give it another shot. It might pick up a little more, but Doom Patrol definitely sounds like something I might be a little more interested in, just because the characters in that seemed more interesting.
That's fair. And that's an argument that I think a lot of people might make for this series. Titans was very well received for the most part.
Yeah.
But Doom Patrol has received what I would only characterize as universal acclaim.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying Titans was bad in any way.
No, exactly. It isn't. But it didn't hit the nerve. It's not for everybody.
It didn't hit that nerve.
I think Doom Patrol might be a little more something that you'll enjoy.
Yeah.
Especially if you're enjoying Umbrella Academy, it's going to be an interesting thing to watch simultaneously.
Yeah, since especially having you describe it so well, is like it seems fairly similar in certain aspects, but a totally different take on a similar I guess dynamic. But at the
yes, exactly. It's kind of a different portrayal of this family of superhero outcasts.
Yeah.
And they're executed really differently. They look extremely different.
Cliff is my favorite.
I love that fucking design.
It's really strong, and the CG is equally as strong.
Yeah, and it's mostly not CG. It's mostly a practical suit.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, it's a suit, and Fraser does the voice acting.
Well, fuck.
Although he does appear as the human version of Cliff. But I love Robot Man. He's one of my favorite superhero characters of all time.
It's what I wish for, honestly.
Yeah. So it's going to be a really fucking cool thing to watch both of those side by side, and I guess we'll come back to it as it develops and see how they kind of diverge from each other.
Yeah.
But very interesting kind of double play. I did play a video game this week.
Yeah, you did. Only one.
Only one. I didn't have a lot of time. I've been very busy with school, sadly.
Sir.
But I played
Machina demo.
I gotta play Damon Machina.
Go for it.
But I played Final Fantasy V. This is a Final Fantasy game I've never played.
Me either, as far as I remember.
I have played, I guess just to go over the ones I've played Final Fantasies 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, and 10. I have not played 8, at least proper.
Never played Triple Triad.
No, I've never played 8 proper. I played it for very briefly and I didn't enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna have to give it another chance when it finally comes out on Switch. If it does, I think it will.
I mean,
people are gonna. There's gonna be an outcry.
At some point, it's like, yo, I just want the entire collection. I'm missing 8. It's weird.
Exactly.
Just put it on.
5 is kind of the often forgotten redheaded stepchild of the series, as far as I can tell. It's a game that not too many people talk about. It has like very little representation outside of like its own game, and it had like an OVA series in the 90s when it came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Final Fantasy Unlimited, which I don't know how anybody feels about. I don't think it's very well regarded. But it's a weird little oddity of a game that is often forgotten. Yeah, it's overlooked. And playing it now, I kind of understand why it is, but I also think that it's regretful that it is. So this is what I like about this game. Final Fantasy V reminds me very much of Final Fantasy III in a lot of respects. Mm-hmm. Superficially and otherwise. The way in which it plays is kind of a mix between the mechanics of Final Fantasy IV, which is a game that iterates mostly on the mechanics of 3, but adds the active time battle system, and Final Fantasy III's kind of job system. Mm-hmm. So the job system is something that Final Fantasy III established. It kind of started in 1, but it was kind of a permanent thing.
Yeah.
You couldn't switch out from a job. But the more contemporary iteration of that job system is what exists in 5. Mm-hmm. So 3 brought it in. You can switch characters from their base job, freelancer, to a bunch of different other occupations within the game. There are a variety of uses for them, certain combinations that are more effective than others, and it even brings in some elements that you'll later see return in Bravely Default, like being able to give characters abilities from other jobs in a job that wouldn't typically have that ability. So being able to give a blue mage black magic abilities and so forth. And so far, I've really enjoyed the experience. It's an interesting game in the respect that, like I said, it's very superficially reminiscent of 3, but there's some elements of 4 that it kind of retains. So 4 is a lot more of a directed and curated story experience. It's very much kind of like, you go here and do this. Okay, go to next town, watch cutscene, go to dungeon,
maybe fight
boss.
people.
Yes, it's a very linear game.
Yeah.
Not to its detriment, mind you, because 4 is my favorite game in the series, and I really love it. But in a way that the Final Fantasy games previously hadn't been, with maybe the exception of 2 up to that point, which is also a lot more of a linear game that switched up a lot of mechanics, but a lot of the mechanics that got switched over in 2 never retranslated into its sequels. And later, the creator of 2, or the director of 2, went on to do his own series called Saga, and that series retains a lot more of the elements from Final Fantasy 2 than other games in the Final Fantasy series did. But it's got a very linear and directed story that is kind of something that was new for the time in the series. 5 doesn't retain that. 6 has that, to an extent. A very linear kind of narrative with like plenty of twists and shifts in party and characters. But 5 is a lot more similar to 3 in the sense that the narrative, while being focused on a bunch of characters instead of generic randos like 3 is, although 3's remake is not. 3's remake actually gives the generic randos like distinct character and personalities and names. But in the original 3, you're all just onion knights. In this, you play as a party of 4. The party is made up of Bartz, who also goes by the name Butts. Depending on the translation you're playing. I'm playing a translation in which his name is Butts. Then there's also Lena, Ferris, and Galuf. They're kind of a basic party setup. So Bartz is kind of a wandering adventurer who's a bit of a goofball. And he's kind of aloof, and he's really like, I go where the wind takes me, like one of those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And then Galuf is like an old man with amnesia who kind of has forgotten who he is, so his goal on the journey is to figure out who he is. Lena is the princess of the kingdom of Tycoon, whose father is kind of the catalyst for the beginning of the story. And Ferris is a pirate that they meet on the way, who is later revealed to be Lena's sister, who went missing at sea when she was a child. So it's like a basic RPG party setup, but the thing that really makes this game stand out to me is the implementation of the job system and the differences they kind of made to it based on 3. 3, they don't allow you to share abilities from one job to another.
Yeah.
But you can do it super early on in this game. So I'm playing as, currently, my party is made up of a warrior, and that's Bartz.
Yeah.
I made Lena a white mage. I made Galuf a blue mage who has black mage abilities, and I made Ferris a monk. So they're kind of like she's a very heavy hitter, that Ferris. Monks are like the most like fucking effective like damage dealing class at the beginning of the game. Because they don't need weapons to fuck up their enemies real bad.
And they can deal the art of fists.
Yeah, and they can deal damage with both fists during a turn, so they can attack twice. And occasionally 3 times if their speed stat is high enough.
Get that luck roll.
But the way that the active time battle system works in this, it's like playing Final Fantasy III's job mechanic in the battle engine of 4. So it makes for a really fun fighting experience that is, I want to say, fairly reminiscent of more contemporary games like Bravely Default. Yeah. Although where Bravely Default has like the brave mechanic, this has like nothing that complex. but like the dual classing in itself kind of deepens the combat and the range of abilities that you can use to dispose of your enemies early on. The story so far is not as good as 4's, which is something that I think might be to its detriment, and maybe why it is kind of forgotten. Because while I think that mechanically the game is very impressive,
quality of life go up, story go down.
Exactly. The story isn't necessarily bad, but it's a lot more run-of-the-mill than 4, which 4, for its time, was a very ambitious bit of video game storytelling. 5 is a lot more similar to something like 3, where apart from the characters having like distinct names, goals, and personalities, which does deepen like the kind of narrative they want to tell, it's fairly bare bones. Like, none of these goals really make the party diverge from like the primary goal of the party as a whole. And there's not so much direction to it, so there's a lot more guesswork needed in kind of traversing the world. Like, there's not a lot of signposting.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something that, like, in certain games I'm thankful to have, or to not have. But in this case, I think it's to the game and the narrative's detriment. It feels like it loses direction and speed a lot. Like, whenever you exit a dungeon, the pace of the game slows to a halt as you have to go, okay, Shiv, where the fuck do I have to go next? And that kind of it interrupts the flow of the fun for me. It is, however, a game that I enjoy playing, nonetheless. I really do enjoy the battle system. I think fighting in this game is the most fun it ever been in a Final Fantasy from the classic era for me, because it kind of blends my two favorite styles of gameplay the series has had, which is the interactive and interchangeable job system mixed with the active time battle system of 4.
Yeah.
So it's a very active experience combat wise, and it makes for an exciting game. But I just think, the lack of direction within the narrative thus far has been kind of disappointing for me. So I'm going to see where it goes. But hopefully as I get further in, I'll get more sucked into it.
Yeah. I feel like how you said kind of the reason it probably gets overlooked is it might not go anywhere too crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Although at the same time, I understand that this is the game that features X-Death as its main antagonist.
Yeah.
And X-Death is one of the coolest looking Final Fantasy villains ever.
Character design strong.
He's got sky blue armor with like these Rococo ass fucking decorations and capes.
Yeah. And he's fucking huge.
Yeah, he's big. He's a fucking thick boy. He's dummy thick.
He's dummy thick. I want more dummy thick last bosses in my video games.
Exactly. And from what I understand,
Xehanort was weak and old. I want
my villains to be dummy thick.
Although armored Xehanort looks pretty fucking cool.
Yes, he did. That was a really cool fucking design. Very Nomura. But X-Death is apparently the antagonist in this game, so I want to see how he comes into this. Because I have like very little to no understanding of how the story of this game goes forward. It also seems, at least geographically to me, a little smaller than some of the other Final Fantasies I've played.
They might have had to roll it back for system limitations in terms of to benefit the mechanics that they added.
Here's the thing, I don't think that that's the case. I feel like this world is going to open up in a way that I'm not expecting. I just kind of don't know when I'm going to get there or how, which is exciting for me, and which is one of the things that's motivating me to continue playing, because I know there has to be more than what I'm presented with now.
Yeah.
Like I'm waiting for a moment in which it's revealed that, like, well, let's say that an early game twist in Final Fantasy III is that the entire place that you've been on for like the first half of the game is really just a little island continent floating in the sky of a much vaster fucking humongous world.
Well, it's like Bravely Default. I didn't realize the entire bottom screen was the whole map. I thought we were just on that small continent. But then again, Bravely Default is but JRPGs have a very almost tropey way now of being like, oh, here's what you have, and you're like, oh, this will be the whole game. And then you're oh fuck.
Towards the middle of the game, suddenly the rest of the game opens up. Well, it's reminiscent. It's something that they do in Hunter x Hunter. Actually, I guess this is mild spoilers for Hunter x Hunter, but in the latest arc of the series, or like one of the latest arcs of the series,
oh shit, Hunter x Hunter is still going.
Yeah,
I thought it stopped after Chimera Ant. No, nope. That's the anime.
That's the anime. The actual the manga itself has been going. It's just on a hiatus a lot because Togashi is
dying.
He's a sick man, and he gets sick and depressed easily, which I feel bad for him. So I admire the fact that he has to take time off and that he's conscious enough of his body to do that.
If he'd clean his house, he'd be fine.
But Jordan Peterson says, clean your room. Clean your room, Togashi, then you won't be depressed.
God damn it, Togashi.
That's how science works.
We added a whole Netflix series for you.
You lib cuck, it's just for you. But yeah, like it's revealed in the latest arc of the story, or one of the latest arcs, that the entire huge ass fucking world that they've been living in is just a series of islands in a much vaster fucking ocean that is or like a lake actually, that is the size of an ocean, or that's the size of many oceans. That's surrounded by a dark continent that's full of fucking monsters. So they're just a bunch of little islands in a lake surrounded by a much more vast, dangerous world. This is kind of what they did in 3, where it's like, oh shit, the floating continent is the small part of a much larger game world. And like the story really opens up afterwards, like how the floating continent became how it is and who's the one behind all the monsters on it and shit like that. That shit becomes apparent when you go to the main world and you restore the water crystal. But yeah, it's a very cool reveal in that game, and I'm wondering, there has to be more than what I've experienced so far in 5. So I'm curious to see which direction it goes in. Hopefully it goes very well.
Hopefully, because I have not played 5.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I had some mild criticisms, but overall the experience has been very positive. So we'll see where that goes. And I've also been playing it while testing my camera to make sure that I can record shit.
Oh,
so that's pretty cool.
How's that going?
It's going okay. I'm still trying to figure out how to edit the footage that I shoot so that it sounds better. But for the most part, it records nicely. So I just got to be conscious of that. But I'm learning. It's a learning experience right now. I'm editing and learning tech that I pretty much have previously no experience.
The GamePunx Let's Play channel will come at some point.
There will be Let's Plays.
Out our shit.
But yeah, I think that's the most I have to say about what I did this week. That was a lot of talk. That was an hour and 25 minutes of us talking about our weeks.
Good intro.
That was a good intro. Now let's get to the fucking news. Because there was a lot of it.
Motherfucking Nintendo Direct. Unless, what is this? Hold on. There's a couple things. When did this week start? I need to fucking remember to put the little separator.
This week starts at
the Fallout 76. So, in Fallout 76 news, because we're gonna keep that going.
The gift that fucking keeps on giving.
This one's not too detrimental to Bethesda, but
it's still a belly laugh.
It's still pretty good, and it's keeping it. It volleyed it. It wasn't the best volley. Kind of went like over to the right a little bit too much. But a player in Fallout 76 has discovered a vault that is still currently in development. And wasn't supposed to be able to be accessed by the public.
Let me guess. They accessed it.
They did. It's a
brilliant
another hidden developer room that ended up getting all wacky.
You know, you would think that they learned their lesson the first time that people found a hidden developer's room.
Yeah, like why would you put dev rooms in the... I don't know.
The active build of the game?
I don't know. I don't understand anything that's going on with this game.
What do you say to a company that so consistently fucks up at this point? This game is a fucking train wreck.
I said it I think twice, 3 times now. Every time we talk about it, they need to do the Final Fantasy 14 thing, pull it, work on it for a year, and then
Realm Reborn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of the only way to fix this shit at this point.
Yeah.
It's a mess. It's a fucking mess. And if it wasn't so funny, it'd be embarrassing.
Yeah, it would.
But it's to us it's hilarious because I'm not invested in playing this game, so I can laugh from the sidelines. But I know that if this is a game that I wanted to play, that I was invested in playing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, multiplayer Fallout sounds like a disaster. Like when the game was announced, everyone just kind of went, ugh.
When did a game about seclusion and isolation become a multiplayer experience?
Yeah.
Nobody wanted this ostensibly single-player
like,
RPG to become multiplayer.
Just Fallout in general is known to be buggy as shit, and you add multiple fucking people to that, and you're like, yeesh, I don't know, man.
It's a fucking problem.
Can your engine handle it? No, it can't.
Jesus.
That is the answer. We have found the answer.
Jesus fucking Christ, this thing is just a train wreck. And it's, like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that I have no investment in it, I wouldn't find, I'd find this unfunny. This is a piss off for the people who paid money to play this game.
Dude, did you see the thing where EP Games Australia is literally just taping copies of Fallout 76 to used PS4 controllers? And I think the best one is that you can get a PS4 bundle with Fallout 76 a DLC code. So like the PS4 comes with the DLC code, and it is also bundled with a physical copy of Fallout 76.
Oh boy.
Because having that game in your store is now costing you money. It is taking up shelf space. And you can't just throw it out. It's so fucked because any other game now that Bethesda ships to any supplier, like, is gonna undership. Like, fucking Elder Scrolls 6. Not...
Yeah, they'll create forced scarcity.
Yeah.
Because this has fucked them over so badly that they're not going to learn the correct lesson. They're going to, instead of learning the lesson of make a complete game before you put it out, make a complete game that's QA tested properly before you put out, they're going to say, oh shit, we put too many copies of this out. We should just roll back a little bit on how much we distribute to each supplier.
Send more.
You stupid fucking idiots.
Whatever, we're going to take a hit from sales. Just instead of canvas bags, give them nylon bags. I'm sure no one will notice.
This is such a bad fucking situation all around. They've really shat the bed. They've gone from being a fairly well regarded, if heavily memed upon studio, to like a pariah in the span of months.
Blizzard ducked ridicule so hard. Because this happened around the same time as the Diablo Immortal thing happened. Yeah,
which we were concerned and spoke at length about in an episode early on. And it seems like this Fallout 76 has entirely eclipsed this shit.
100%. Because, I mean, Diablo Immortal was, fuck that, that's gonna be dumb, no one wants that. Fallout 76 was, fuck that, this is gonna be dumb, no one wants this. Oh, it's out? Holy shit, it's a disaster, and it continues to be a disaster every single fucking week. Is there an episode since release that we haven't talked about Fallout 76?
No, there isn't.
Maybe one. I think.
I'm pretty sure one of the first things we said about it was, and it's bad. Like,
oh man,
it's what a fucking PR disaster for Bethesda.
Could you imagine working for them right now? I think I said this last week, but like, oof.
God, that would be a thankless fucking job.
Even if you're not on the 76 project, if you're like I'm on Elder Scrolls 6 or I'm on a Star Space game,
Starfield,
whatever. Like, you're just like, I work at Bethesda, and anyone will go, Just like no, but I'm not on 76. I'm on Elder Scrolls 6. Like, is it gonna be multiplayer too? Is it gonna shit the bed as hard?
I don't trust like that.
I don't trust
like that.
Fool me once, shame on me. You didn't even fool me once. I knew it was going to be a disaster. I just didn't like. There's sometimes in video games where you can accurately assess the disaster. There are some times where you can accurately assess the success of a game. This was a disgusting underestimation of how terrible everything was going to go for Bethesda.
Yeah, it's
no one could have envisioned. Everyone knew it was going to be terrible, but for already fixed bugs to come back in a new patch, for dev rooms with unreleased items being found within a couple of weeks of release, I don't even know what to say, man. Like, yeesh.
It's oof. Well, maybe an overused metaphor, but it really is just kind of like sitting by and watching a car accident occur and not being able to look away, because it's just such a travesty.
Yeah.
For all people involved, the players, the devs, the fucking people who invested money in this shit, people who are fans of the series. It's what does it feel like to watch a series die?
Well, I mean, I feel like for us,
hard.
This is a car crash that almost hit us, but hit a ramp and just scazed by our heads. Because this is a series that I like. It is a series I'm invested in.
And this is a company who makes games I like.
Yeah, exactly. So for us, it was more like the car hit a ramp, jumped over our heads, so we got to see it come really close to hitting us, but then just crash and burn like a safe distance away from us. And we were like, whoa, that was crazy.
Just fucking...
Good thing that didn't hit us. Yeesh.
Yeah. Maybe just another little story about a fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
So we talked a little bit a couple of episodes ago about Metro, the new Metro game, being like an exclusive to the Epic Game Store last minute.
Yeah.
And then Epic Game Store trying to like deflect by saying, no, it's not a last minute decision. Sorry, it was just a bad PR move to inform you so late. Sorry.
And then you peel back the Epic sticker on the box, and there is a Steam logo printed neatly on the packaging of the physical copies of Metro, meaning that the deal was in fact very late to the game, probably same day that it was announced, which was about a week, 2 weeks before it came out. See, like, I'm getting this mixed up with Anthem and Apex. That was another thing I wanted to talk about, because that's where all my other time went this week, was Apex Legends. Really good.
Yes.
Fun battle royale. I placed second after a couple of matches. I get it.
That's good.
Not for me. Probably gonna uninstall it. Don't care.
But for what it is very
really
good.
It is very polished.
It's more polished than Fortnite and
Yeah.
Well, no, it's more focused than Fortnite and more polished than PUBG.
Oh, it's not hard to be more polished than PUBG. Anyway.
Well, yeah, because that game is literally made from boxed assets.
Yeah.
But
back to
but
the
it's
news.
more. It's got more direction than Fortnite, which is nice because it means it has the potential to be more than what Fortnite is, which is kind of a silly playground game.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah, with like no personality besides what you imbue into it. This actually has a significant amount of development and investment put into like the crafting of these characters in the world, and the fact that it's linked to
released by
Titanfall
EA to
kill
Apex, because EA saw the lukewarm reception to Apex,
Titanfall.
Oh my god, no! The EA saw the lukewarm reception to Anthem.
Oh, to Anthem. Okay.
And said, "Hey, is Apex Legends ready? Put that out, because we need something to kill Anthem." Did you see? I actually, yeah, we can fit this into the news. Actually,
sure.
Because now that Apex has gotten its stride and is becoming fairly popular and is probably gonna kill Fortnite, gun skins, not character skins, not anything too crazy, but just skins for your weapons are $20.
$20. For your weapons.
For your weapons, $20.
So why did anybody
No
think
damage buff.
Anthem was a good idea?
No. This is Apex.
Oh, this is Apex.
Anthem's already dead. Like,
oh.
We're probably not going to talk about Anthem anymore. Upon release, I can only imagine it will crash and burn. It will sell.
It'll kill BioWare, which is unfortunate.
It'll kill BioWare, which was EA's plan the whole time. That's why they rushed Andromeda so hard too.
To just absorb the studio's IPs into their own.
The fact that it's killing BioWare is why EA's probably charging $20 for
ridiculous
gun skins for Apex Legends. Just keep that. Yeah. So that's that news. But it's a fun game if you can live without the skins. I mean, it's free.
I mean, who fucking cares about? I honestly have never been somebody who cared about cosmetic shit like that.
I get cosmetic shit in multiplayer games. Like Overwatch, it makes sense because you get the cool skins and blah, 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 blah. Like I get it for multiplayer shit, but I just don't like multiplayer shit either. Like I think Overwatch was the longest multiplayer shit that's not a fighting game. I like
like games. I like a curated single player experience more than a fucking multiplayer game any day of my life.
Same. And that's why I gave Apex a shot because it was free. It did look cool. It is fun.
Reviewed well.
It is very smooth. It is like I get it. I placed second and was like, okay, the rush you get is kind of like the rush of a fighting game, so it is very satisfying to survive like 100 other people. But me, I don't know. I just like it's not for me. I'm much more excited to play the remake of Link's Awakening.
Yes. So I guess let's start off with the Nintendo Direct shit.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of it to get through.
Oh boy, is there. We'll save that one. You know the one for last, because I'm gonna.
Yeah, because you want to talk about that.
Oh boy.
And I see you. I can hear you waiting with bated breath to talk about it.
Dude, we'll talk about it when we talk about it. But let's start with Link's Awakening, because that was one that came out of fucking nowhere for me.
So first, and I think for everybody.
Yeah.
First things first, Nintendo Direct happened this week. People were anticipating the announcement of certain games. While we had Fire Emblem, and a lot of people were hoping for Animal Crossing. That did not happen. However, another major Nintendo series announced a new entry, and that is a full Switch remake of the Game Boy game Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. It's the 2D Zelda that I have not played. The only one that I have not
Zelda
played.
Game. Honestly, it is worth getting an emulator, playing that game before the remake even comes out.
I might do that.
You will not be tired of it. It is my favorite Zelda game.
Because I already have one of those. Thanks.
Yeah.
Shh. Don't tell anybody.
Sorry, Nintendo.
Yeah, but I might honestly do that. And I'll play Link's Awakening DX.
Yeah.
But one of the few Zelda games that the 2D Zeldas that I've not played. There's a couple 3D Zeldas that I've not fully engaged with.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of the few Zelda games I've not played, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Can we give
the remake
big ups for that fucking hand-drawn intro?
Oh, yeah, so it's there's a hand-drawn animated recreation of the original game's kind of cutscene intro, which is like Link getting stranded on Koholint Island.
Yeah.
And holy fuck, it's beautiful.
It is one of the nicest things I think I've seen this year.
It's stellar. Like it was so gorgeous. What a beautifully realized iteration of that cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
And it totally, like, when I saw that shit, I was like, oh, it can't be. Because I mean, as much as I've not played the game, I know all the iconography, I know the story,
yeah.
I know what it's all about.
I only got, because at first I was like, what the fuck is this? And I only got to the part where he, like, is pulling the sail and the lightning strikes, and I was like, oh my fucking god!
No way! So, this wonderful fucking game is occurring. It is a full remake, and from what it seems, an extremely faithful remake.
Yeah.
Down to, like, the littlest of details.
I think even added bits.
Yeah, obviously I think there's going to be additional content.
Yeah.
But I guess the biggest change is the aesthetic of the game.
Which what I was gonna ask, how do you feel about it? Because I saw some people griping about it. I literally have no issue with it. I think it looks fucking great. It does kind of have a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer elf.
Yeah, like a Rankin Bass kind of look. Well, it looks like toys.
Yeah.
It looks like a very, very, very beautiful polished maquette.
It looks fucking great.
It looks amazing. It looks so stellar.
Stoked.
It's beautiful. Somebody, I think it was Bobby Schroeder, mentioned on Twitter how she would like to see like a remake of the Mother series with this aesthetic.
Oh my god, yes.
Because
holy shit.
Honestly, if anything, is very superficially reminiscent of kind of the vibe of a Mother game. Like the way Mother kind of looks.
Yeah.
This is what this looks like. But yeah, what an absolutely beautiful looking game, and down to the like the most very minute of details, a faithful remake of the Game Boy game.
Mm-hmm.
The color palette is incredible. It's so rich. It's so fucking rich, and it looks like it plays like a dream.
I mean, it looks like it plays like a 2D Zelda, which is the best way to play Zelda.
Those are my favorite Zelda games. Are the 2D games in the series, hands down.
Same.
I've always preferred them to the 3D entrance. Yeah, like as much as I adore.
Not that the 3D ones are terrible or anything. Like,
no, as much as I adore Wind Waker, I'd rather replay Minish Cap than Wind Waker, and I'd rather replay Link to the Past or Link Between Worlds to Wind Waker.
I need to play Link Between Worlds, and
I love that game.
I got halfway through Minish Cap.
Minish Cap is brilliant.
Yeah.
That is a very, very good Zelda game.
There's not a part that I didn't like, so that's
the Oracle games I adore as well. Oracle of Seasons in particular is one of my favorite Zelda games. It's extremely underrated. So I'm very excited for this shit.
Mm-hmm.
It looks just incredible. I heard Pumpkin.
Yeah, he's meowing back there.
I cannot wait to play this. It's so like when I saw that shit, I was like, I want this.
I think there was a collective gasp when everyone realized what it was.
So that looks really fucking incredible. I'm excited for that. What else news came? Well, there was a new game announced by the studio behind I Am Setsuna.
Yeah.
It's called Oninaki.
I did not see this trailer, so I'm gonna watch this real quick, mute it. I think I went to the bathroom during this part or something.
The only way I can describe it is...
It's Square.
Yeah, it's Square and the people behind I Am Setsuna, which, if you don't know, is like a very good kind of Mana-like, kind of Chrono Trigger-like game.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun. I love that game. It's one of my favorite RPGs that I've played in the last couple of years. The job system of the game revolves around you being able to manifest the souls of different demons, and those demon souls become different classes that you can kind of use.
The environments are fucking pretty.
Yeah, it's a very pretty looking game, very polished. It's very reminiscent of like a PS2 era JRPG, which is my favorite era of JRPGs. So I'm very excited to see where this goes and if it's good. But yeah, it seems really, really cool, and I'm excited to see just what kind of adventure we're in store for when I play it. And I've never played Lost Sphere, so I might have to play Lost Sphere before I play this. Just to kind of get an understanding of what I'm about to get in for.
Oh, yeah, okay, I get it.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I did see this actually. Just the name didn't stick, I guess.
Yeah, Oninaki.
Yeah.
Looks great. Final Fantasy IX's finding out for the Switch, so I'm gonna pick that shit up and play that.
I love how they're just dodging 8.
Yeah,
like it doesn't exist.
7's coming out in like a month.
A remake.
We're gonna put out 9.
We're putting out all the other ones that exist. Also, is 8 coming? Huh?
8.
Who?
What number is that?
Square Enix
Which
can't do 8.
I mean, as far as my experience playing 8 goes, can't say I'd be terribly excited to see 8 come out.
Yeah.
But as I said before, I'll play it if it does. I'll give it another chance.
Yeah. Do you want to skip to Marvel Alliance, and we'll do this one right before we do the one that I want to talk about?
Well, I guess Fire Emblem quick. They kind of revealed what the big deal with the new Fire Emblem.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna skip it, and because I feel like we're gonna have things to say. But I mean, like, fuck it.
I just have like 2. I have one little thing to say about it. They set it in a school setting. So
Which
it's set
is
in
not great.
Yeah, it's set in like a 3-kingdom state, or like a state made up of 3 kingdoms, or a continent made up of 3 kingdoms.
Yeah,
and at the center of the 3 kingdoms is a military training academy, and your main character is a teacher at that academy, and you have to train classes of students and like mages and a whole bunch of shit like that.
And it seems you'll be able to choose your faction depending on the site. Like, it seems like you'll be able to choose which faction you're cheating for.
Yeah, which I guess is kind of cool.
Yeah. I already know who I'm picking.
Who?
Who do you think?
The Blue Lions.
Hold on. Yes.
Yeah. That's what I thought. But it's 3 different kingdoms, and the 3 houses that they inhabit at the school is what gives the game its name, Fire Emblem 3 Houses. It's an interesting spin on the formula of the series. I'm kind of interested in seeing where it goes.
Yeah, I think we're both a little worried. I think we're both a little worried about the heavy romance factor that most Fire Emblem's games have, and the fact that you're a teacher.
I'm hoping, for the most part, that this resembles Shadows of Valentia more closely than it resembles Fates. Awakening is a stellar game. It's one of the best RPGs it's one of the best RPGs Nintendo has ever developed, and one of the best exclusively for the 3DS. It's a stellar role-playing game in all respects, and a stellar strategy game. I can't say the same for Fates, which, while the gameplay of Fates is perfectly great, the writing and characterization and mechanics that were so good in Awakening are completely lacking.
Well, hold on, because wasn't most of Fate's problems a localization thing, where the localization company just straight out cut a bunch of dialogue out?
They had to, though.
Yeah.
The reason they had to is because there is shit baked into the game that just wasn't gonna be acceptable in North America.
You want to bring this to the West? That's no.
Want to bring this to the West? Maybe you cut out the incest.
But Japan, though.
Now, I understand that the greater justification within this game's narrative is that you are not blood related to any of these people, but let's be fucking honest. They are your siblings.
Yeah.
And this game ostensibly encourages you to choose which family of siblings you would like to bone.
All of them, fuck it.
And there is an option in which that is viable.
I know.
There is a story path in this game where you can bone all of them. It's fucking ridiculous, and it's frankly
looking at me like I'm crazy.
It's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Yeah.
So not only is the boning the family shit bad, but there is like very half-baked attempts to sneak LGBT characters into the game. Too bad both of the LGBT romance options sucked.
Yeah.
Really bad. Like, they were bad fucking characters that nobody would ever want to romance. One of them was like a reskin of Tharja, who had like none of the personality of Tharja. And as much as I think Tharja has big lesbian energy, she's also a fucking crazy person.
Oh, dude, BLE.
And then the male romance option was a piece of shit. So
aren't they always?
I don't want to fucking play a game with male and female romance options for same gender avatar characters that suck ass. Mm-hmm. And then there was the fact that the fucking Fates tried to shoehorn in like the babies from the future mechanic that Awakening had.
Fuck.
But the way that it happened in Awakening, or the way that it worked in Awakening, kind of made sense within the context of its story, because Awakening's story was a story of time travel.
Yeah.
So the children of the characters in the future coming back was neat. Mm-hmm. Fates, on the other hand, contrives it by saying that there is a fucking dimension that exists outside of time and space, which you inhabit between adventures in the game. And this dimension which you inhabit, which fans have kindly referred to as the baby realm, is a place in which you can raise your children from the future out of time and space.
Your incest children.
It is very stupid and bad. It is the worst ever justification for like dating sim mechanics.
I can't wait to pick it up
in a fucking game that I've ever played. It is almost as fucking bad as Conception.
Oof.
Yes.
Oh no.
Fire Emblem Fates.
Hot take.
Baby making mechanic is almost as creepy as Conception's baby making mechanic, and that series is literally about boning a bunch of waifus to make babies that can fight as soldiers. That is practically what Fates is.
I'm gonna pick it up. You sold me.
Conception is really bad. Don't play it. It's like a waste of time.
I know.
It's like, what if Persona was more problematic and less fun to play?
Yeah.
So yeah, fuck Fire Emblem Fates. As much as so much of that game is something that I should love, like the aesthetics, the character designs, all that shit.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is a fucking horny piece of garbage made to appeal to perverts, and I'm not into it.
Too horny.
Yeah, it
Stop
sucks.
Stop trying to fuck your sisters.
Anybody who's into that shit should be sent to fucking jail. I'm sorry. So Fire Emblem Fates fucking sucks. Three Houses, on the other hand, looks more like Shadows of Valentia, which is a game that I love.
Yeah, and it could be
think
fine.
is also one of the best RPGs that Nintendo has ever made. Especially since it completely remade and recontextualized an older, much worse fucking game.
Yeah.
And made it good. So, yeah, it's like one of the best remakes Nintendo's ever produced. So Shadows of Valentia, good. Three Houses looks a little closer to Valentia than does stuff something else. But please, no horny anything in this.
The fantasy high school thing's a little weird.
No horny.
No horny. The fantasy
please, no
high
horny.
school thing is a little weird.
No bone. I don't want to see these characters bone.
Unless it's the other house teachers.
In which case,
like,
yeah,
those are the only ones.
I'll bone my other faculty members, but I'm not gonna fucking bone students. That's really fucking creepy.
Blue
so
Eagles,
hopefully they don't do that shit.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, I think it's about time. Okay, well, Marvel's Ultimate Alliance
Marvel
3.
Muso.
That is a Marvel action RPG Muso game. It looks fun.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
It's gonna be multiplayer. I'm gonna play that shit.
It'll be better than the other Ultimate Alliance games, which I didn't really care for. Tecmo Koei making this one, probably gonna have a little more Muso-y vibe to it.
Yes.
But I don't think it'll make it a Muso. I think it'll just be funner.
I'm in agreement.
The gameplay that they did show in the Direct seemed fine.
It seems like it's still got those kind of those beat 'em up mechanics that X-Men Legends and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2 had.
Yeah.
But it's a lot. Yeah, you're right. It feels a lot more like a Muso game. I think just looking at it, a little more like something from Team Ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Koei Tecmo, as you said.
Yeah. They're the ones on this one too.
And it's very impressive. The graphics are beautiful. The iterations and choices of character, where they're both relevant to like the contemporary view of like who the most major Marvel characters are.
Yeah.
But also they're making the effort to include characters that you don't see in stuff like maybe
like
Marvel
the
vs.
X-Men.
Capcom Infinite. Yeah, like the fucking X-Men, who are barely in anything days.
Rest in
really
peace.
Sucks. Well, I mean, not really, because they're owned by Disney now.
Yeah. Oh.
So we're gonna see them more often.
It's true.
But the Fantastic Four too, like they're gonna be in this. So there's some shit that's cool. I'm excited for it.
Coming.
Yeah, and you can play as Venom, which is gonna be fun.
It's fun.
And I will definitely play as Venom while blasting the Eminem Venom song really loudly.
No, you gotta blast the Run the Jewels Venom song.
No, because that one's good.
Oh yeah.
I have to blast the bad one.
Yeah, it's true.
but it just looks like a fuck ton of fun. I can't wait to play it multiplayer with my boyfriend. That's gonna be fun.
Do it.
Yeah, we're gonna fucking double team that shit, and we're gonna have a good time.
They announced Deltarune. Also.
Yes, Deltarune is coming out for free on the Switch. Chapter 1.
All the other chapters will be paid.
Which is understandable.
Which is cool. But I didn't even expect this to come out until all the other chapters were also out as a full game. Like I thought,
it's nice. It's nice. It's a sample platter for people who are interested in trying it out.
Yeah, it's
and that's a full ass little game.
Real neato. Yeah, it's a good 5 hours. I think something like that.
Yeah, it is, and it's a great. I mean, we've talked at length about it already.
Yeah,
but
it's great.
It's great. I'm excited to play it again.
That's having no attachment to Undertale at all. Like I know nothing. I know more things now than I did when I first played it.
But you were like immediately invested in it.
Yeah, I liked it.
And it's really, really fun.
There's also Bloodstained Ritual of the Night gameplay, which looks fucking great.
Yeah, the gameplay looks amazing. Visuals of the game,
I'm fucking into it. I don't even care.
They're Igavania. They're definitely Igavania looks. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. There's something a little...
I have no issues with it.
I trust Koji Igarashi as a game developer and designer. I think he is not like what's his fuck from formerly of Mega Man Concept. What's his name?
Oh,
stupid dumb man who's an idiot.
His name escapes me right now.
Yeah.
But
he's a fucking hack and a pitch man. He's a fucking hack and a pitch man.
Yes.
Igarashi is a developer. He is the guy who fucking made Symphony of the Night. I trust him to make a good fucking game.
And this has very heavy Symphony of the Night vibes to it, albeit in a 2.9D game.
Yeah. So
I like that you get to make your own Belmont for your boner.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool. I like to play as woman.
Yes.
It's also nice to play a Castlevania game where the woman character
is winning.
is like the main character, because the only one that I can think of is Order of Ecclesia, which is a very good game, mind you, but and actually honestly one of my favorite Castlevania games.
Well, Curse of the Blood Moon also has a because Bloodstained Curse of the Blood Moon.
Curse of the Moon, yeah.
Fuck, Jesus Christ! I always call it Curse of the Blood Moon. I don't know why.
Bloodstained Curse of the Blood Moon.
Blood. Anyway,
blood.
There's also a female protag.
And it's the same character who's the main character in this.
Oh, is it? It
is now.
Well, because the art style change. I assumed time had passed.
But it is the same character.
Well, fuck.
Yeah, she's just not the main character of Circle of the Moon. But yeah, anyway, that game was fucking dope.
Yes.
I think it was a very good kind of Castlevania-like.
That's why I have big faith in this one, because
I have faith in
is so strong.
I have faith in Igarashi because he's the guy who actually made Castlevania as good as it is. Mm-hmm. So I want to see where this goes. Hopefully I love it. I really want to love it. And then finally, the big one that you are like
Astral
literally pissing me for. What was that? I couldn't hear
Astral Chain. ASTRALCHAIN.
Astral fucking Chain.
To give a little background about how excited I am for this game, my partner woke up with fake contractions at like 2 a.m.
Fake contractions?
Yeah, because those are a real thing. Fake contractions, they're what are they called? Braxton Hicks.
Braxton Hicks.
Yeah, they're fake contractions that are just kind of your body being like, this is what it's gonna feel like, but this isn't the real one.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
I like your contractions.
she woke up with those at like 2 a.m. I got up, was like, you need anything? She's like, I don't know. It settled out. She didn't. Anyway, don't worry about it. It's fine. I don't know how comfortable she is with me telling you. Anyway. Okay, so she was like, I think I actually just have to poop. So she went to go poop and came back and was normal. And I was like, okay. I started falling back asleep. And I said something along the lines of like, pregnancy is fucking wild. Imagine if platinum, thanks, Camilla. And then I just fell asleep. So,
amazing.
Yeah, that was immediately.
Amazing.
Well, not immediately after seeing this, but it was the exact night of the direct.
So this has been. It's literally been so on your mind that like a fake like water breaking scare couldn't deter it from occupying your brain.
No, not even a little bit. In fact, I think it triggered more of a what if there was a pregnancy character action game in the mix. What if Platinum just had like, I don't know, you're the sperm cell and you have to make it to the egg and you got
Jesus
like
Christ.
I don't know where my reptile sleep brain is going. But
Thanks, Kamiya.
Thanks, Kamiya is the last thing I said before I fell asleep that night.
Incredible. Well, why don't you, since you're so excited, why don't you talk a little bit about what about Astral Chain makes you want to fucking
my god.
explode?
Well, I mean, it's a Platinum game.
Yes.
Yes. You play as a police force, which, but they seem to be pretty cool police. And I'm just saying that because I like the game. The trailer was really cool because they didn't say any names. It gave you no hint that this was a Platinum game. The entire time until Kamiya's name came up, I was like, what is this? This looks really good, but what the fuck is this?
Yeah, and then Kamiya's name came up, and you're like,
name came up, and I screamed super loud.
Very good.
So yeah, essentially you are in the Ark, which is a multicultural city in the near future. A bunch of gates open and demons and a bunch of just alien bullshit starts coming out, and you are a police force tasked with taking care of these very Platinum bosses and characters. The gameplay seems fucking insane. The gameplay design is actually by the same guy who oversaw the Nier Automata battle design, like the fighting design. So it's going to be very similar. It has clearly a chain is in the midst of the entire gameplay, so you'll be able to like grapple enemies towards you to prolong your big style combos.
Oh boy.
You get to choose between two playable characters, the female one and the one that no one's gonna pick. The character you don't choose also appears as your younger twin, as a fellow member of the police force.
Okay, that's interesting.
So you get to work together. There's a bunch of combat styles. You can both attack the same enemy simultaneously, target different opponents, or send the Legion to offense while you support it with items. So I guess you have a like tag team character, kind of like the dog in Metal Gear Rising, that helps you out sometimes.
Yes.
Revengeance there.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, the game designer, Takahashi Taura, who is responsible for the planning of Astral Chain's combat mechanics. He's the one who was on Nier Automata. Clearly, Hideki Kamiya, who's the creator of Bayonetta and shit, he's in charge of supervision. And the character design is a manga artist known as Masakazu Katsura, who made Zetaman and Video Girl AI.
Oh, shit. Okay, I know Video Girl.
Yeah. So,
cool. So that's why the game looks fucking beautiful.
Yes.
And has these killer-ass designs.
Yeah. And I'm going to be following this very closely, and anytime anything comes out from it, I will...
You will be yelling.
Yes, we will have that in the news article. I am now accepting donations for a Switch. Because that's another thing that needs to be stated, is it will be a Switch exclusive. It seems to run much, much better than the Dead by Daylight port that is also coming to the Switch that looked like garbage.
Yeah, that looked really bad. The fidelity was not great.
Sorry, Dead by Daylight. I love that game, but it does not seem like it's going to be a fucking
crap. Yeah. It's really not impressive.
And with that, I think that pretty much kills it. I don't know. I didn't see anything new from the...
There was a bit of negative news.
A
couple of little pieces of negative news.
Do you want to take the Funimation one while I go pee real quick?
Sure, I'll just burn through these quickly, just because I don't want to leave you guys.
Okay.
The Vic
save the Blizzard one for last because I want to be here for that one.
Sure. Vic fucking marinara sauce Mignogna himself, who's a big piece of shit, and was recently outed, or I should say, more like recently ousted from his position as voice actor on Ruby as Uncle Crow. Is now been permanently fired from his job at Funimation. He will no longer take part in any of their dubbing projects. For those who don't know, he is a pretty well-known voice actor. He played Edward Elric in Fullmetal Alchemist and Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and a variety of other influential characters throughout the anime world. But he is also a notorious fucking creep who and an alleged pedophile, which is scary and scary and fucking shocking. Not so much shocking as it is scary and shocking that he's, been in the industry for this long and nobody's done anything about it. But that's just how male privilege works. So, the dude is fucking out now. He's not going to be in any more Funimation shit. He's lost his job over at Rooster Teeth playing Uncle Crow, who is not a character that has died. So they're just going to recast him, which makes me happy. And which doesn't matter anyway.
Or they might just kill him.
I've always ascertained that Uncle Crow just sounds like Vic Mignogna doing a Steve Bloom impression. So if they just get Steve Bloom to voice Uncle Crow, I don't think anybody will notice a difference. Because he literally just kind of sounds like a more gravelly version of Spike Spiegel. But anyway, Vic Mignogna is a nearly 60-year-old man.
Hashtag canceled.
Is fucking canceled forever. Fuck that dude. And he looks like he's never going to work in the anime industry ever again. So great.
And this is, never works ever again.
Yeah, fuck that dude. He's a piece of shit. And I'm really glad that they've made the effort to distance themselves from him and just go no, fuck him, he's out.
Yeah, I'm super glad that they made it public that they were like, hey, this thing's going on. We know about it. We have cut all ties with this, and we're sorry he was in the Broly movie because that's the most recent thing, I think.
Yeah, and that's a dub job they did a little while ago.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the Broly thing seems like it's going to be the last thing he does a voice in a fucking long time. So yeah, fuck Vic Mignogna. He sucks ass. He's a real piece of shit and a creep, and he can go fuck himself. So that's fucking Vic Mignogna. Then, Activision Blizzard.
Oh boy, I got some things to say about this.
So, Activision Blizzard recently fired
8% of their
fucking staff. That's a significant amount of people who are now without a fucking job.
Out of nowhere, it needs to be stated that there were rumors that people were going to lose their job, but until the day of, no one had any idea where the cuts were going. There was definitely people who were going to lose their jobs, but until the day of, there was nothing. And most of it came from IT and QA. Which are, course,
important departments.
They're important departments, but also viewed as the lowest chain in most video game industries for some reason.
In the dev process, for sure.
Yeah. Which makes no sense because you'd think that QA would be fucking... Anyway, whatever.
Well, if Bethesda is any indication,
who's gonna find your bugs if you don't have any QA? This is also especially fucked up since this has been one of the best years for Activision Blizzard.
It's one of the most one of the most lucrative years ever for them. With the continuing success of Overwatch and World of Warcraft.
For any business, I think it was one of the most successful years.
Just the uptick in profits has been ridiculous.
Yeah, and the fact that they cut 8% of their entire staff on their most successful year because they didn't make all the money in the world is fucking ridiculous to me.
It's disgusting.
My partner's dad sent me this story because he knows that I want to kind of get into the video game industry somehow. It just kind of immediately pissed me off, especially if they were struggling and doing really, really bad,
then sometimes
Like,
you downsize.
you
like
downsize, and like you downsize from everywhere. You don't just cut IT and QA, but the
Yeah,
majority.
it's an
come from
unfortunate
IT
reality
and QA.
of the
Yeah,
unsustainable capitalistic business model.
exactly. But on your most successful year, because you didn't hit the numbers that you wanted, you had your most successful year of being a company, and you fucking ditch 8% of your fucking company. That's 800 something jobs. It's not even in the low hundreds. It's almost 1,000 people now that are just jobless. And the video game industry is really good for picking this kind of ball drop up, where if you lose your job, other companies might reach out to you and like, sure, you can find another job, but you have to move to the city where that company is.
It's based,
Blizzard,
yeah.
I think, is in Texas.
Activision Blizzard,
Santa Monica.
I think, is in Santa Monica. Yes.
So, unless there's other game companies that are willing to hire around 800 people there, or, you know, like, people are going to have to move, which is another fucking big, like,
deal.
Expense for people who might have kids, who are families, who
uproot their entire family
in their fucking, like, if you live in that city and your family's in that city and you're working in that city and suddenly you have to move because you lost your job, it's so fucked up.
That's not fucking fair.
It's ridiculous. Literally a record year. I don't understand.
It really is just a display of total greed. And then the CEO thought it was a really, really great move to show just how much money he made.
Yeah.
This motherfucker accumulated what I must call an obscene amount of money this year, and he had the fucking gall to fire his entire staff. 8% of your staff gone, and you made how much? You know what happened when Nintendo had to do that?
Fucking Miyazaki, fucking, or not Miyazaki, fucking.
It was Kojima.
No,
not Kojima. Satoru Iwata.
Yes.
The CEO of the company cut his own profits to make sure that everybody was correctly paid for the work that they did.
And he had to cut other people's profits too, but he didn't not cut his. It wasn't, we have to cut your profits so we can be okay. It's everyone has to cut their profits. And as
people who are
including me.
Yeah, people in the upper annals of the company. Everybody at every level. It was equitable and it was fair.
Yeah.
What has happened here is just a display of gross cruelty and incompetence, the likes of which
capitalism.
Yeah, it truly is late-stage capitalism, the Ouroboros that it is consuming itself and driving itself deeper into irrelevance.
Bobby Kotick, you're a fuck.
Yeah, fuck Bobby Kotick and fuck Activision Blizzard for doing this. This is just it's a disgusting display, frankly, and it's upsetting. So fuck that shit. So yeah, I guess it was a bit of a downer thing to end on, but it had to be said that sometimes the games industry is like this. In fact, it's like this a lot of times.
It is like this disgustingly too often.
Yeah, and it needs to be discussed. It's not a happy business for a lot of people. It is an earnest living for many, and when people do shit like this, the integrity of gaming as an industry and as a hobby lessens.
Yeah,
it's gross.
There was one last a little bummer thing that I wanted to touch on before we kill this. Is Bayonetta 2 director Yusuke Hashimoto leaves Platinum Games.
He's left.
Yep, he bounced on January 31st was his last day. He left a heartwarming tweet that reads, "The memories I made during my 13 years of Platinum, working with dozens of talented individuals on Bayonetta, Bayonetta 2, and Star Fox Zero are priceless to me. Let me take this opportunity to share my thanks with anyone who's worked with me, supported me, or played my games. I hope to take this experience gained at Platinum and use it on whatever I work on in the future." He did not announce any plans for the future. But I can only hope that it will mean more good games, such as Bayonetta 2, because that is a banger of a game.
That would be simply wonderful.
It's kind of a bummer that he left before Bayonetta 3 was finished or even saw any gameplay. I'm not really sure what it means for Bayonetta 3, but I don't think it's going to take too much of a hit either. But Bayonetta.
I mean,
2
as it stands, the series has been directed by 3 different people so far.
Yeah.
So, I guess nothing but as much as what has changed already will change.
Yeah. I mean,
that being said,
it doesn't mean
2
that
is the better
3,
game.
Yeah, it doesn't mean Bayonetta 3 is going to leave from Platinum. The fact that it's still Platinum is fine. It's just the director of the better game leaving is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
But the future is also
bright.
He did say he has future plans. He just has not announced what they were.
So it's not the last we will see of our good friend.
No.
Very awesome.
And all this means is that there's possibility for more companies to attain the level of bias that Platinum has in my heart.
Yeah, well, there we go. That's not such a bad win. I guess that would be properly the end of it.
Yeah.
That was quite the gauntlet of information and news.
I think this is the longest one since
a little while ago, at least.
It's been a bit.
But this was that was a wonderful fucking amount of stuff to talk about.
Hell yeah.
And I think the future of gaming is looking interesting.
Yeah.
This next year is definitely looking out to be a lot better than last year.
As long as we don't get to fuck our students in the Fire Emblem game.
Yes, and I will have fucking words for them if they make that something that you can do. Fucking
They'll cut it out of the Western
disgusting.
release.
They fucking better.
They better cut it out of the Japanese release.
They did that in the Western release for Fates.
Yeah.
And it was still bad.
Yeah.
But at least it was less bad.
I feel like it was... Anyway, yeah. It was bad. I feel like it also hindered Fates by missing just chunks of dialogue. Like, that game should have just not come over, I think.
Well, certain relationships are completely ridiculous at that point.
Yeah. Because you just get ellipses.
Fuck that shit.
Anywho, that's the end of this episode.
Yeah, and it was a fun one.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. You got any plans to announce or anything?
Well, still working on testing my fucking shit to see what I can record.
Mm-hmm.
But with any luck, I'll be able to, try and put out some content soon. It's same story as every week, I suppose. I'm just testing that shit out.
We'll figure it out, guys.
Yeah, my I guess I should say this. My accelerated math course that I was taking, which occupied 6 hours of my week, has ended.
Good.
So there will be time to work on ideas. And that means that's 3 hours on Tuesday and 3 hours on Friday I have extra. So not so bad. 6 hours of my week clearing up to be able to do either homework or work on stuff like this.
Yeah.
Is nice. So we'll see where that goes.
That's pretty good. And I'm unemployed now, so I can come pick up that copy of The World Ends With You whenever.
Yeah, whenever you want.
You.
By all means, just let me know and come on over. I'll have it with me.
I'm going to stream at some point this week. Probably more Resident Evil 2, because I really want to fucking play that game. But since Devil May Cry 5 is coming out next month, I might have to crack down on that if I want to get through 1, 3, and 4. I've decided to maybe skip 2, seeing as it is a garbage game.
Yes, and it is a fucking piece of garbage trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I might touch 2 after 5 just to have it there, but
understandable.
Also, maybe not. But yeah,
right.
Probably stream at some point this week, depending on whether or not my child is expelled from my partner.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
But that sounds about all I have to say.
All right.
You, I guess.
So with that, we will kill the Twitch. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Have yourselves a good evening. Thanks for listening. This is a long one, so kudos to you for making it through the whole thing. If you did.
Bye, Dex.
Bye, Dex. Bye, Alex.
Yeah. Alex is probably asleep by now. Honestly.
Actually, maybe.
Anyway.
Time zones are funny. But you guys have yourselves a good evening. Thank you so much.